even if we were able to clean every river, right? Even if we were able to clean the air in Delhi, even if we were able to clean the Ganges River and the Jamuna River, which is so horribly polluted, it's like just heartbreaking. Even if we were able to clean them all tomorrow, if we didn't clean our hearts, then we're just going to pollute them all over again, right? If we don't let go of the greed that we have, if we don't learn to cooperate with each other, if we don't learn to live more simply and be happy living more simply, etc., we're just going to pollute them. We're going to elect leaders who promise us the sense gratification that we want, and we're going to neglect the ecology again. And so he's saying my work has to do with getting to the root of the problem. And essentially, this is what he was saying, right? If that we don't develop a higher character, the city is what it is because the citizens are what they are. The ecology is what it is, the state of it, because of who we are. And so we need to transform. We need to purify our minds. We need to purify our hearts. And therefore, the sharing of spiritual knowledge, genuine spiritual knowledge, not some kind of like trying to convert people to your religion, but trying to instill spiritual knowledge. Hey, I don't care if you're a Christian or Muslim or this or that, are you understanding its spiritual essence? Are you understanding that we're not these bodies, that we are these sparks of soul, within? Are you understanding that true happiness is something that is our nature, that we don't need to consume resources like some kind of, like endless, bottomless hole, that we can turn within and find happiness within, live a simple life. And then there's an opportunity to hey, maybe we all don't need a car. Maybe we all don't need two cars. Maybe we can live a simpler life, living close to home. Maybe we don't, we don't need all the things we think we need. And if we finally get that, then we could help the ecology.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, the daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha. It is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. Welcome to the show. Miss Mara, tell everybody what episode it is.
1583.
1583. Harry Bowl to you. Good morning, Kaustubha.
Good morning, Raghunath.
Beautiful day.
Okay.
Beautiful day.
You mean like weather-wise or just?
Weather-wise, but it's also a beautiful day to worship Lord Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah. We had some good news today. We lost the little house chicken yesterday. Went out looking for her this morning, couldn't find her. And Sachi just found her. I was going to go look with Sachi again, but I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to chant bhajans.
They need a little space sometimes too,
No, I think she was hiding for her life. Are you kidding?
From what?
Predators.
In the house?
No, not in the house, but she's not actually a house chicken any longer. We keep her outside.
Oh, okay.
but she's a smaller breed of chicken, so she doesn't.
Oh,
the peacocks haven't accepted her, and the chickens don't accept her.
That's
and
rough.
and
see, Raghunath, this is what happens when you keep the chicken in the house. Maybe it's
no, it
like,
wasn't that. She had a partner, but they're so small. Like birds are mean. Birds have a pecking order, and her partner's little body could not take the peck, and it died, or weakened her, and then she got taken by some predator.
But I'm just wondering,
little Sita is alone.
I'm just wondering if by keeping her in the house, she didn't toughen up enough to be able to handle the coop.
Perhaps. I'm afraid those bigger chickens would kill her. So now she's she's with tribalists. I thought she would be adopted by the peacocks, but
now you had to bring her back into the house. She's institutionalized. It's like it's over. She'll never be able to adopt.
I feel that way. A little sad. A little sad today. It's like not having a tribe. You're like the school outcast.
Well, let her tribe be Gus and yourself. Mara.
Yeah.
And the cats, which is crazy. Like she's living among the cats.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's move
Enough
this
of
on.
that. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Let's check in with Mara.
Miss Mara, important information
Yeah.
happening. Poor Mara's voice
sounds
is
like
still.
she's just like
I've been calling her squeaky lately. She's like, physically, she says she's fine, but she's got a little frog in her throat.
People don't know what squeaky means anymore, right? Like back in our day, squeaky. You
What
know
do you
who
mean?
Squeaky was, right?
Oh, no, that was Squiggy.
No, not Squeaky. I'm not I'm not talking about television shows, okay?
What's Squeaky?
Squeaky Fromm was like one of like the Manson family, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm not so aligned with mass
did.
murderers.
No, you only follow them constantly on your Instagram screen.
I don't
Kind
follow
of a-
murderers. I don't follow
Oh,
murderers.
you did follow murder, children.
No.
Unsolved mysteries,
I saw
perhaps.
No, I follow natural disasters. Thank you.
Okay.
It's different.
All right. Mara,
All
what you
right.
got?
Registration for
Wedding fails.
our annual spring retreat at Super Soul Farm is up at wisdomsages.com.
Carnival #carnival disasters.
Carnival.
Join
How's
join
that
us
Mara do
at
her
Super
thing?
Soul Farm May 23rd to 26th for a weekend of sweet satsang, kirtan, asana workshops, and delicious vegan food. Go to wisdomofthesages.com today to register.
I got another announcement.
The real question is, will you have vegan meatballs there, Mara? That's what
Usually
everyone wants
does.
to know.
Maybe.
How's it? By the way, how's the cookbook coming along? She's been too busy.
My computer's in Brussels at the moment.
It's
so-
not coming along right now, but it's gonna
Yeah,
come.
It's gonna come.
She did a
That-
lot of
see,
work.
that was
in
a weak
India.
excuse, Mayor, because that's only been a few days, but it's been a long time since we checked in on this cookbook. So like, where's
Well,
Yeah,
that?
she's
I-
been on tours. You can't do anything
Yeah, I
on
didn't
tour.
get anything done on tour. I got a big chunk of stuff done when we were in India,
Yeah.
but I really haven't touched it since then.
No.
Yeah.
So
But we are both going into some creative seclusion soon.
Okay. By the way, I want to mention another announcement that so
How
we
did
had
your thing
our
go last night? How did your thing go last
yeah,
night?
it went really nice. You know, a nice crowd and good, really good questions. That's what made it good. You know, Greg DeGase who had good questions. Ave Maria, they were really good
So
questions.
people who are community platform members, Sage community platform members, they can go back and watch that now.
It'll be posted today on the Sage
Okay.
Community Platform. That was a conversation about Advaita, Bhaktivedanta, how they relate, how to understand them. You know,
Mm.
I think it's a nuanced topic, and by discussing it and asking questions about it, it gradually begins to crystallize in your mind. It takes time, you know, and
Yeah.
so hopefully for all of us, it was like one step forward in our clarity, and that'll be posted today on the Sage Community Platform.
Nice.
Another reason to sign up.
Yeah. Sign up just for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is at wisdomofthesages.com.
Yeah. Here's our nugget for today. I like this one. The city is what it is
Hold on,
because
who's speaking, Raghunath? Who's speaking? Oh, I didn't tell you. Did I not tell
you
you?
didn't. You were like,
Okay.
but you're quick to chastise.
Well, usually you do that, even if I do tell you. So, no, this is, you know who this is coming. See if you can guess
Chastise
it.
yourself. How about that? That's our
I do
takeaway.
that, Raghunath. I do.
Chastise ourselves.
I do. But who do you think this might be from?
The city is what it is because the citizens are what they are.
It's someone that wrote a very important book
I
on.
thought it was like the present mayor of New York. No,
No, it goes back way further, like way.
the city is what it is because the LaGuardia
No, way further than that.
farther than LaGuardia.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to go back way back. And
It's like a pharaoh or something.
no, you got to go back before Christ.
This
I
is
guess
like
the Pharaoh
that,
is before
This
Christ.
is like that Key and Peele thing. Like I'm talking old
Old
school.
school, yeah.
I was like,
Look up brother up with some old school.
cavemen. I don't know.
Oh man, I'm talking old school. Yeah, you're right. It's exactly like that.
Every time I say something, he's like, come no farther. All right, I
No,
don't
this
know.
coming
How
from
about
Plato.
that?
Plato.
Okay, could
This
have
come
been
from
anybody, but thank you, Plato.
Well, Plato, you know, if you're familiar a little bit with Plato, I'm not very much, but at least, you know, I know he wrote about this, like the govern. He wrote Plato's Republic, and within that, it certainly seems to be influenced by the whole Varnashram kind of ideas, and you know,
I like
in other
it.
words, the ancient Vedic idea of how to organize a society. So in Plato's Republic, he's writing about how the city should be organized, and what the leaders have to embody, what the citizens have to embody. A lot of important thoughts there. So,
When I first read this without looking deep into Greek philosophy,
yeah.
I thought the city is what it is because the citizens are what they are. I thought that about institutions.
In
Like
general,
people always have issues with the institution, but institution is just a group of good people. And if they're organized well, then the institution becomes great. If it's not organized well,
oh, there's that, but in one sense, this is highlighting just a little different. Definitely good
I
organization.
think you might have a different idea of where to go with this, but that's what came to my mind.
Well, I think the point here is that no matter how good your organization is, if the people aren't virtuous, then you can have this system or that system and it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And if the people are virtuous, in other words, if we've all learned to embody some higher principles, then in one sense, it doesn't matter what system you have. Any system can work if people are embodying good principles. And if people aren't, then no system will work.
There you go. That's a nice one.
Okay, but let's hear what Plato says.
Laws and systems may guide.
No.
What? What?
We haven't read the full quote yet, have we? I don't think we've read the full.
The citizens, the city is what it is because the citizens are what they are. End quote.
Okay, I think you got a little inflection on it. The city is what it is because of the citizens are what they are, or something, a little, something. I don't think you did read it, but we can go back and check
I did read it. What do you think? I just read the city is what it is?
I think I interrupted you before you finished.
Okay.
But in any case, maybe you did. But I'm always writing those things. You're reading what I write to you as the theme.
Then say this, then say that.
I'm not saying then say this. I'm saying I'm just giving you some context in which to understand it. All right, share what you think. Share more what you think.
Okay, I just did. I thought same with the family. Families aren't good or bad. It's just it's the virtue of the people in the family, the love that exists within a family. It's just otherwise it's just a group of people together in a house, But if they have if the leaders of the family and the contributors of the family have some virtue, have some acts of kindness, have some consideration, if it's not just a me first mentality, and the family can be peaceful, the family can be joyous. Otherwise, we see families and they're just chaos. So I was thinking whether it's a city, whether it's a family, whether it's a business. Business is the same way. Is business good or bad? Depends who's running the business. Depends on and that oftentimes creates the quality of the people that work in the business.
Sure, but they embody.
Yeah.
When I came across this, I was reminded of in Radhanath Swami's book, The Journey Within. He writes about when he's in the airport in Delhi and he bumps into a woman who's got some high-level position in the cabinet of the
environment or something.
Yeah, and she was concerned with the environment, and she kind of challenged him, Swamiji, like, what are you doing? It's like, why aren't you, and of course, he's doing so much. He's got to go.
What do you sadhus doing with all your time and all your followers and all your resources?
You should all be focused on this very important issue that I'm focused on. And he made the point that even if we were able to clean every river, right? Even if we were able to clean the air in Delhi, even if we were able to clean the Ganges River and the Jamuna River, which is so horribly polluted, it's like just heartbreaking. Even if we were able to clean them all tomorrow, if we didn't clean our hearts, then we're just going to pollute them all over again, right? If we don't let go of the greed that we have, if we don't learn to cooperate with each other, if we don't learn to live more simply and be happy living more simply, etc., we're just going to pollute them. We're going to elect leaders who promise us the sense gratification that we want, and we're going to neglect the ecology again. And so he's saying my work has to do with getting to the root of the problem. And essentially, this is what he was saying, right? If that we don't develop a higher character, the city is what it is because the citizens are what they are. The ecology is what it is, the state of it, because of who we are. And so we need to transform. We need we need to purify our minds. We need to purify our hearts. And therefore, the sharing of spiritual knowledge, genuine spiritual knowledge, not some kind of like, trying to convert people to your religion, but trying to instill spiritual knowledge. Hey, if I don't care if you're a Christian or Muslim or this or that, are you understanding its spiritual essence? Are you understanding that we're not these bodies, that we are these sparks of souls, within? Are you understanding that true happiness is something that is our nature, that we don't need to consume resources like some kind of, like endless, bottomless hole, that we can turn within and find happiness within, live a simple life, and then there's an opportunity to hey, maybe we all don't need a car, maybe we all don't need two cars, maybe we can live a simpler life, living close to home. Maybe we don't, we don't need all the things we think we need, and if we finally get that, then we could help the ecology. And she to her credit, she appreciated what he said and kind of recognized the truth in what he was saying. But this is the thing, right? We got to go to the root of the issue. So we'll read a little something from Prabhupada about that. Because now we have Ram coming back, right? Ram's coming back to Ayodhya. He's coming back to the city. And it speaks about his relationship with the people, the nature of it.
Alrighty. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tojayam madirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati tamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, Text 44. It's King Prickett. O King Prickett, as the Lord sat on his airplane of flowers, with women offering him prayers and reciters chanting his characteristics, he appeared like the moon with stars and planets.
What verse was that?
44.
44.
Text 45 and 46. Thereafter, having been welcomed by his brother Bharat, Lord Ramachandra entered the city of Ayodhya in the midst of a festival. When he entered the palace, he offered obeisances to all the mothers, including Kakei. Oh, Kakei is the one who banished him.
Yeah.
I thought she had died at this point. Including Kakei and the other wives of Maharaj Dasarath.
She was remorseful at this point, too.
Yeah,
right?
I think she felt bad. Because, Dasarath died after he left, and she was disowned by Bharat. And other wives of Maharaj Dasarath, and especially his own mother, Kaushalya. His friends worshipped him, and he returned their respectful obeisances, as did Lakshman and Mother Sita. In this way, they all entered the palace. Upon seeing their sons, they must have felt like, okay, things are getting back to normal. It's been a while. What a trip that was.
Yeah, or, I don't know if things got wild because Bart was there, right? And he was like a qualified leader. But I think
we're living without Ram.
Yeah, it's the
imagine
motion.
how Kaushalya must have felt. Kakei, if Kakei had remorse, she must have felt horrible. There was no real acting king. He was acting on behalf of. They were all lamenting.
I think especially it has to do with that vipralambha, right? The feeling of separation, that they were all, and not necessarily that the city was mismanaged in any way,
or
but
chaotic.
Yeah, but they were heartbroken for
Sure.
14 years, and now of course, in our lineage of bhakti, in particular, right, the followers of Sri Chaitanya, they really examined this idea of separation, right? Love in separation. And we see it again and again, that we see it. Krishna apparently leaves Vrindavan, right? And all those that love him the most and that he loves the most, they all are like,
Losing their
plunged,
mind. Yeah.
plunged into deep, deep feelings of separation. We see Sri Chaitanya does it, right? When he takes sannyas and leaves home, and his mother and his wife and everyone is heartbroken. Here we're seeing Lord Ram do it. Twice we see it, right? He leaves Ayodhya, right? And all the citizens of Ayodhya are feeling this. Now that they're back and he fought this whole battle to regain Sita, then he's actually going to separate from Sita, right? Which is
Tragic.
like,
Tragic. We're all, everybody's heart is broken.
everybody's heart's broken.
Yeah.
And without it being explained by those types of yogis, bhakti yogis that have some deeper understanding of this, we really can't get it.
Yeah. Otherwise, it seems like, wait a second, there was a happy ending. Why did it go here?
Yeah, right.
Why
Yeah.
is Sita leaving?
Yeah, it's kind of like the story goes from being like I don't want to call it simplistic, but like a simplistic story would have the happy ending, they're back together, everyth's good. Why not just leave it there?
Yeah, it's
Then
got
goes,
a weird twist.
well,
And
we
then,
might call it weird, yeah, but from someone that really understands it, it goes into this. How could
unsettling.
Well, no, I'm saying it might be unsettling when we don't really understand it, but for someone who
Sure.
really understands it, it's like a more subtle and incredibly rich kind of shift.
I think it's hard to understand unless we have that. The longing for God
Yeah.
is much more powerful than even the union with God.
And in that longing, the presence of God is felt more profoundly than in the actual external presence.
Sure. Sometimes you're with a kid, a child,
Okay.
and we sort of take a kid for granted. But if that kid ever something happens to that kid, or the kid moves away, goes away for college or something, we start thinking about the child all the time. So in that attachment, that object of love overwhelms the mind.
Yes.
And that's the whole twist of our little sect here.
Okay.
Really
Yeah,
is.
And it's all about bringing the mind to Krishna. And there's no more intense way than these feelings of separation, right? And so there's a very esoteric, subtle idea that it is said, as you said, Raghunath, it's actually written that you can't understand this until you experience it. Right? There's a logic to it, and you can hold on to that logic, but it's something that is, when it seems like the residents of Vrindavan are just situated in the worst situation, where they're the most in the deepest pain, that within that pain is the deepest ecstasy, the deepest connection, the deepest bliss. Something difficult for us to understand. So the residents of Ayodhya were feeling that for 14 years. And now Ram is coming back, and their hearts are just being flooded. They're experiencing these incredibly deep spiritual emotions. Right? We look at the material realm, the separation of the lover and the beloved is just pain, right? And it happens either according to death, or according to maybe there's some emotional, like a
whim.
Maybe according to whim, or someone walks away, or the separation in this world is seen as such a sad and
heartbreaking betrayal. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Devastating.
And then in the spiritual realm, there's just a far deeper kind of understanding that no, in what appears materially to be the worst is actually spiritually the best. Right? And so they're experiencing this form of vipralambha bhav, of this feeling of separation, and now union. Right? We were saying, what was it we were saying the other day, that there's if you have a river, it's got two banks. So the river of the flow of Krishna's love for Krishna, prema, there's a river of Krishna prema, and what is it flowing between? The bank
Separation
Yeah.
and union,
An
separation,
embankment of union and an embankment of separation.
back and forth.
Back where it's flowing. It bends this way, then it bends that way, then it bends
You're
this way.
joy, and then you're devastated. And where's Krishna? I feel that. You feel that in your own spiritual life. Like sometimes you feel very connected, and then when you feel disconnected, even in that disconnection, you're thinking, "Oh, Krishna, I want to go back, Krishna. I miss you, Krishna. And
Yeah.
come back into my life, Krishna."
Yeah.
It's not like it's above us. Also, we can feel that way too. Sometimes we feel very, very on fire in our spiritual life, and then sometimes we feel like Krishna just left, and Krishna hasn't. He's activating our greed for him, our desire to be with him.
I was thinking about this when, after we spoke yesterday, we brought our friend Yasho on to the walk on Wednesday.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about him, and where he is at his life in his life right now. And I kind of mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but like his path hasn't been the straightest in the world.
Yeah.
We have a romantic kind of perfect picture of what our spiritual life is meant to look like.
Yeah.
I wake up very early every morning, and I sit down.
Especially when we're young too, and we're like, "Oh, this is going to be no problem." Then you throw up a spouse into the mix. Sometimes becomes a problem. If it's not a problem, throw a kid in the mix. Throw 2 or 3 kids in the mix. Throw a dog in the mix. The whole thing just becomes a complicated house of cards, and a romance very quickly can just collapse on it. And then we're left, how did I get here?
Yeah. And so there can be so many bumps on that road, and the romantic picture of what we think we're supposed to look like. I'm supposed to be detached. I'm supposed to meditate very deeply. All these books are talking about you sit and chant this holy name and tears start to come from your eyes, and I'm not close to that. But there's this other side to it. The Krishna is so merciful, that and we live in a day and age where it's recognized that, in general, it's very difficult to be a deep meditator. But if we take up this practice, and like Yasha, we mentioned this yesterday, I don't think I've ever heard Yasha criticizing other devotees or getting into silly topics that have no value and, that are sources of conflict. And,
Yeah.
you try to have a simple heart, an appreciative heart, and you try to chant this name and do these and Krishna, he can really do special things for one, really care for one. And so that really, that idea really stuck with me after hearing from him, just the mercy of Krishna. We read back in the 6th canto, about how there was this character Ajamil, right, who he was raised in a very pukka spiritual family, like he was given good morals and good habits and good practices, and he let it all slip away, and he became a criminal. He left his good wife for a prostitute. He became a criminal. He started a whole new family with the prostitute. It was like really a mess.
Really? Yeah, it just says like one bad choice after another. It was like
it got dark. And at the end of his life, just kind of by chance, he chants the name of Lord Vishnu, Narayan. And just as the Yamadutas were coming, just as he was about to have his soul pulled from as his soul is being dragged out of his body by these gruesome, terrifying,
fearsome,
metaphysical, role players. These other role players appear, the Vishnu Dutas, the messengers of Vishnu, and they're more powerful than the Yamadutas. And they say, they blow the whistle on the whole thing. No, you can't take him to your hellish place to, make him pay the cost of his bad choices. Why not?
He called for Narayan. He called
the name of our Lord.
But he didn't call it like with God. He called for his son.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. That's how powerful the holy name is.
And that's how merciful Krishna is, right? It's just like he's trying to find a loophole for us. He's looking for a loophole. Not that we shouldn't try. We need to try. And when he sees that we're trying, he's looking for any loophole to beyond justice, right? Mercy. And so I thought about that a lot after talking with Yashu yesterday.
I had some realization yesterday too. Yaso was one of these guys who came in with some talent. Like he was artistic. He made the stained glass windows. He was a builder. He built
He
out
did
the
more than
temple.
the stained glass windows.
I said builder.
Okay.
Jesus, this guy. Anyway, my point being that sometimes people stumble into bhakti and they have a talent at the right time and they can fully engage all their senses. Like, this is what I do. Oh, you need a
Yeah.
brick wall? I make brick walls
here
for
for you.
Krishna. You know what I mean? Now I was making brick walls for this lady. Now I'm making brick walls for Krishna. And sometimes they stumble right into what they're born to do, but for Krishna. And sometimes we see this with people in our community, like Maya is such a good singer, and Seth and Cody. They love to sing, and therefore they started just singing kirtan. And another great one is painting and acting. If you like acting or storytelling, because when you enter into these services, they fully, I don't know if there's anything better than acting, than to act out these leelas, because you have to really embody the heroes, the villains, the assistants of Lord Ram, the brother of Lord Ram, and you take on the mood, and you really get to understand the leela in such a deep way. I encourage anybody who's got that potential, whether they do it, on Hollywood, or they do it just for their family, or sometimes you can act these out with your family when friends come over. Hey, we want to do a little skit for you. I've done that with my kids when they were little.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd even play charades Krishna charades, and we'd have to guess what leela we're doing. But by entering into the consciousness of those players, you take on the mood of what must it be like for Radharani to feel separation from Krishna. What must it be like for Ram entering the city? And you know who else gets that? Painters, because the painters are meditating on the emotions and everything.
Sure.
Very powerful thing. If you're an artist, this is such a great way to practice
Poet.
bhakti. Poetry, perhaps.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, drama is such an important part of Gaudiya Vaishnava culture. Sri Chaitanya and all his associates put on dramas. You can read about it in Chaitanya.
Isn't that interesting? They all did dramas.
Yeah, and it was a way of them getting in the mood. Sri Chaitanya actually plays the goddess Lakshmi, and he enters into her mood. It's like incredible. What was Haridas?
I'm sure there were some painters back there.
Yeah, of course they had painters.
I would imagine getting a painting from one of Lord Chaitanya's associates.
That'd be great. But my one comment about drama is, whenever I see dramas going on in like temples and stuff, too often they make it comical. And they take the most serious.
That would be me. That would be me.
But and sometimes, they take something really sacred and they make it silly. There's like a temptation to get laughs from the crowd or something like that. But don't go there. Not that there's no room for comedy, but I'm saying, when we're presenting these leelas, really try to get, as you're saying, go deep into the mood. Try to really understand it. Take instruction from devotees that really have a deep understanding of it, how you should portray it. Then try to go deep into it yourself, and
see
really
the sadness of people. See the sadness of people, and make them laugh. Make it funny. See, I disagree with you, but that's okay. We're two different people.
Yes, we are.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I've done funny ones, and
I'm saying there's room for, but it always goes there. It's like, you're going to do Jaga and Mada, and then they turn it into like a silly thing.
a slapstick.
Prabhupada actually spoke
Yeah.
against this. He made that clear. He said, yeah, I'll find you that later. Okay, let's keep going.
Shut me down. Okay, text 47. Upon seeing their sons, the mothers of Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrugna arose, like unconscious bodies returning to consciousness. The mothers placed their sons on their laps. Now they're big. They're not little boys anymore.
Yeah, how do they do that?
And Ram's a big guy. The mothers placed their sons on their laps and bathed them with tears, thus relieving themselves of the grief of long separation.
Maybe it was like maybe the mothers were seated in a chair and they were like, they kind of got down on the ground. They put their heads on their laps or something, maybe. It's hard to picture them sitting there full body.
They probably didn't put their full weight.
Okay.
The family priest or the spiritual master, Vashist, had Lord Ramachandra cleanly shaved, freeing him from his matted locks of hair.
14
Then-
years, right, of that dreadlocks.
Yeah. Never seen a picture of Ram with dreadlocks.
Or
Yeah.
with shaved head.
Yeah, good point. Then, with the cooperation of the elderly members of the family, he performed the bathing ceremony, the Abhishek, for Lord Ramachandra, with the water of the 4 seas and with other substances, just as it was performed for King Indra.
Wow.
I would like to really. Did we go into this? The coronation of kings in the Western world. What it was like? I think there was a coronation bath. Also,
Yeah. Like an
You know.
Abhishek kind of thing.
yeah. I wonder if all these things came from Vedic rituals.
Seems like it.
Right? We could look. I bet ChatGPT knows that. Lord Ramachandra fully bathed and his head clean shaven, dressed himself in very, very nicely, and was decorated with a garland of ornaments. Thus he shone.
Hold it. You got to read that again.
Lord Ramachandra fully bathed, and his head was cleanly shaven. He dressed
Right
himself
again.
very nicely and was decorated with a garland and ornaments.
Okay.
Thus he shone brightly, surrounded by his brothers and wife, who were similarly dressed and ornamented. Being pleased by the full surrender and submission of Lord Bharat, Lord Ramachandra then accepted the throne of the state. He cared for the citizens exactly like a father, and the citizens, being fully engaged in their occupational duties of Varna and ashram, accepted him as their father.
Okay. This is important, right? Now it's the mood of the leader to the citizens and the mood of the citizens to the leader. It's being discussed here. I would like you to read something, Raghunath.
What?
I'd like you to read the second and last paragraph of the commentary.
Of the commentary?
Yeah.
Of 50?
Yep.
Second to last paragraph.
No, the second paragraph, which is
Second
also the
paragraph.
last paragraph.
Yeah, okay. Simply enforcing laws and ordinances cannot make the citizens obedient and lawful. That is impossible. Throughout the entire world, there are so many states, legislative assemblies, and parliaments, but still the citizens are rogues and thieves. Good citizenship, therefore, cannot be enforced. The citizens must be trained. As there are schools and colleges to train students to become chemical engineers, lawyers, or specialists in many other departments of knowledge, there must be schools and colleges to train students to become brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas, sudras, brahmacharis, grihastas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. This will provide the preliminary condition for good citizenship. Generally speaking, if the king or the president is a Raja Rishi, the relationship between the citizens and the chief executive will be clear.
What's
And
a
there will be-
Raja Rishi?
It's a sage king.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
Raj Rishi. Yeah.
The king also has to be said. Actually, Plato had a term. I forget what it was, but essentially what it meant was like a philosopher king.
A philosopher king.
Same, more or less the same idea.
Maybe that's like a kahuna. What's a kahuna, Mara? Check that out. In Kali Yuga, however, because the Varnashram system is neglected, people are generally,
I think, did you jump ahead? Yeah.
generally speaking, if the king or president is a Raja Rishi, the relationship between the citizens and the chief executive will be clear, and there will be no possibility of disruption in the state because the number of thieves and rogues will decrease. In Kali Yuga, however, because the Varnashram system is neglected, people are generally thieves and rogues. Generally.
In general.
In the system of democracy, such thieves and rogues naturally collect money from other thieves and rogues, and thus there is chaos in every government and no one is happy. But here, the example of good government is to be found in the region of Lord Ramachandra.
The reign.
In the reign of Lord Ramachandra. If people follow this example, there will be good government all over the world. Wouldn't that be great? We had a government of Lord Ram.
Yeah, Ram Raj is what, that's what the citizens hanker for. And I think this is so important what's being said here, the idea that the issue is not exactly the system of government, but the consciousness in the government, right? If the consciousness of the people isn't, if from a young age we're not really learning what it is to be virtuous, what it is to be responsible, what it is to be spiritual, then how do we know how to pick a leader? You know, we're practically hopeless.
We have no map.
Well, yeah, we have no map.
Way to measure.
Yeah, and then when the problems naturally arise, we think, oh, we need to legislate our way out of this. We need to create policy that will solve the problem. And even if you can create certain, and I'm not saying that a state doesn't need good policies, but a real king or leader is not just a policy maker. And even if you establish certain policies, if the hearts of the people hasn't changed, then as we're saying before, it all just goes back to what it was. So Prabhupada had this idea, right, that he wanted to come to the Western world. And when he was being asked, like, what are you doing here? Sometimes reporters would put a microphone in his face and say, why'd you come here? And he didn't give some kind of fluffy, kind of pseudo-spiritual, kind of thing.
Here to give you intelligence.
Yeah, he said, yeah, I've come, literally what he would say sometimes, I've come to to create, a class of first-class men, right? And what he meant, certainly he was reaching women too, so let's not make that an issue. But the idea was, what he meant by first class was there need to be spiritual leaders that can give clear instructions so that we can all get on the same page and understand what's important and what's essential. There has to be an adult in the room, and without that, you're going to have chaos. So he's like, I'm coming to help you guys. I want to go to the root of the problem. If we don't have spiritual knowledge, quite frankly, then there will be conflict, there will be fighting, there will be greed, there will be destruction. And I'm trying, and our society is missing that philosopher king. It's missing that philosopher in general. The spiritual institutions that we're meant to get it from are weak and corrupted themselves. People aren't feeling inspiration from them. The political institutions are also incredibly disappointing because there's not a strong flow, a strong backbone that's spiritual and that's intelligent and that's clear. And so, yeah, we might even make laws. He said simply enforcing laws and ordinance cannot make the citizens obedient and lawful. And it's a fact. Look at the United States. We got so many prisons and so many people in these prisons, and the crime continues. It's not like people are changing. We need to get right in at the ground level, right into how we raise our children, how we educate our children. There has to be training. We need to learn how to be brahmanas and kshatriyas and vaishyas and shudras and all of that.
All right, moving forward. Let's see what we got here. Lord Ramachandra became the king during Treta Yuga. But because of his good government, the age was like Satya Yuga.
Uh-huh.
Everyone was religious and completely happy.
Yeah, dharmic.
Dharma Gye, because he was fully religious.
We're almost done with the chapter.
Yeah. O Maharaj Pricket, best of the Bharat dynasty, during the reign of Lord Ramachandra, the forests, the rivers, the hills and mountains, the states, the 7 islands, and the 7 seas were all favorable in supplying the necessities of life for all living beings. So it's like when you get a good government, everything works smooth. Even natural things.
Auspiciousness, right?
Everything's interconnected. When Lord Ramachandra, the personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental sufferings, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear, and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. Now, some of this stuff is a little far-fetched, but some of the stuff, some of the stuff, we have to draw, the bridge has to be longer to understand it in our reality. But there's some things you can get, where is mental suffering and lamentation and distress? A lot of the comes from, imagine living in a country where there's utter chaos and you don't know if there's going to be stability or food or water or electricity, or you're going to go to war at the next moment. So a lot of these you can understand, it is depending on who's leading the country, but they're saying actually all these things are connected to even natural occurrences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little leap of faith you'll have to take, but that's the leap of faith we take here.
Yeah, Chapuji was telling me, she lives in Venezuela, which it's got a lot of natural resources, and it's a beautiful place. But for water, it's like you get water on the weekend. That's it.
Really?
You got to like fill up buckets and stuff like that just to make it through the week, just to bathe and have water to cook and so on.
Yeah, so mental distress, disease, fear, fatigue.
Yeah, and there's this corrupt leadership, and it just makes it eats away at you, internally.
Yeah. You feel like, am I ever going to get out of this? What about then? Of course, you have dependents, like children, like my poor children have to go through this. Wasn't like this when I was young. I'm sure. You and me, Kaustubha, our life's been so easy. Lord Ramachandra took a vow to accept only one wife, the Ekapatni Vrata. Took a vow to accept only one wife and have no connection with any other woman. He was a saintly king, and everything in his character was good, untinged by qualities like anger. He taught good behavior for everyone, especially for householders in terms of Vanashram Dharma. Thus, he taught the general public by his personal activities.
Yeah, we just got a little instruction in leadership here, right?
Only have one wife. Okay. Mother Sita was very submissive, faithful, shy, chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. Thus, by her character and her love and service, she completely attracted the mind of the Lord.
Wow.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra. Just in time at 7:55. What's the name of the next chapter? Ooh.
I think Lord Ramachandra
rules the world. That's something like I would say in
I
7th
rule
grade.
the world.
I rule the world.
Oh, you remember that one? If I Ruled the World?
No, what is it?
Curtis Blow?
No, I don't know.
I thought you liked that old school.
And I meant old. That's new school, Curtis Blow. I'm talking about old school.
All right, you ready for some takeaways?
Oh, maybe it wasn't Curtis Blow. I thought it was Curtis Blow.
Oh, Nass. Yanagami is on it. Okay, what's our takeaway, Miss Mara?
Chastise yourself.
Squeak.
Systems aren't good or bad. It's the people that make them.
Yeah, I mean, they can be bad, but,
Yeah.
they can be good. But
There are some bad systems out there, too.
We need to transform ourselves to transform our environment.
sounds like you're transforming your voice.
Poor Mara. She's struggling.
She's going to get through this.
I know. The longing for God is more powerful and profound than union with God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Separation in the spiritual realm is ecstatic.
Somehow, right?
How can that be? How can that be? But it is.
Prema flows between the banks of separation and union. Krishna is looking for the mercy loophole for us.
He's looking for it.
Artists and actors enter into service for Krishna.
Right
Ooh,
now.
That's a call. Okay.
Yeah, it's a call.
That's a call.
It's a call to action.
Clarion call.
Spiritual knowledge is the backbone of society.
And
Don't
it
be
should
spineless.
And
Yeah.
don't make the sacred silly.
Don't
Yeah.
make the sacred silly. Question mark?
No, not a question.
No, don't.
Question.
I'm just saying. Thanks everybody for joining us on the Raghunath versus Kaustubha show. Sometimes there's union, and sometimes me and Kaustubha are in separation. But there's always love. It's deeper love sometimes in separation. And we're separated by our philosophical differences. Like when I sing Govinda Miro Hey, and he's like, stop it! Stop
I
that
want
one!
to sing that song.
Don't sing it! It's bona fide. It's not bona fide.
Not in our sampradaya.
Many sampradayas.
Yeah, I'm practicing this one.
Sampradayas. It's all a practice. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us early this morning.